What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? This your man Dre Mac. Also with my man Bluminati here with the Blurred AF
Yes, indeed.
podcast, and we have a special guest in the house. We have Danielle. Is it Atherton? Is that
Yes,
how you put it?
perfect.
Perfect,
After.
perfect. Yes, and we have her for Danny Does Law. Of course, if you've been seeing my Jonathan Majors videos, this is who the highlights come from. I always shout her out. She has excellent information. I feel she got the home stenographer from the Chappelle show in her backpack when she goes to when she go to court. But we really appreciate her being here, and we also appreciate you guys that have been in the chat that's waiting. So Danny, if nobody knows who you are, go ahead and introduce yourself, and we're gonna go ahead and get this thing going.
All right, well, fun fact, actually, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I used to actually do transcription work. So that's
That makes sense.
and in high school I learned you probably don't know. I'm probably aging myself, but Greg shorthand. So shorthand is basically another way of writing words but not using letters. So that's part of why I write so fast and I can get things down really quickly and accurately. But anyway, I am I used to be in the legal field. Most of my corporate jobs were in either law firms or in legal departments in corporate positions. My last corporate position, I was a corporate paralegal. I have done litigation paralegal work relating to family law and divorce law. I have a degree from the George Washington University in legal studies. So basically, I just love the law. When I lived in Atlanta about a decade ago, I did do some work on CNN on one of their shows that they had at the time called HLN After Dark. Legal, relating to whatever the cases were going on at that time. So we did something on Trayvon Martin. We did something
Mm,
on at the time, I think Casey Anthony. There was a few high-profile cases that.
Casey Anthony
Casey.
was
I remember
wild.
Casey Anthony too. Remember that
Yeah.
case?
Yeah, so basically that was then. Now I'm in the Tampa Bay area, but I am in New York City. So an opportunity to come back home presented itself, and to support a worthwhile. That's where I am now, supporting a worthwhile cause.
And we most definitely appreciate you. Of course, I go hard against the mainstream media because I already know what type of tactics that they use when it comes to cases like this. So we really truly appreciate you. We got our other guests, our other co-hosts in the house. Mika G is in the house.
Oh, you
So
got a joke.
my bad. So we're gonna go ahead. We're
She
gonna
said we got jokes. They know jokes.
Ain't no jokes. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get this thing rolling. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get the outro in. You already know how we do it. Let's go.
What does this button do?
All right, all right. And again, it is me, Dre Mac, the host of the Dre Mac Show, and of course, Blurred AF. We got Bluminati in here, host of Blues House Live. We got Mika G in here, co-host of Popcorn in Your Beard and Blues House Live. And we have Danielle Atherton is in the house. Of course, Danny Does Law, who has been covering the Jonathan Majors case. Let me start off by saying this. I think today was a bigger win than any other day in this entire trial. And I know that the mainstream media went ham with the text messages because I believe the prosecution knew that they didn't have a case once the driver came in there and did that thing. Daniel, what you think about
Man, when I say today was a good day, I'm like
that?
the Q Ice Cube because I had to stop. We are not allowed to react for obvious reasons, but I had to stop myself from smiling and laughing and just praising God today because not to get super spiritual, but I am a spiritual person, and I did post a prayer this morning about favor. And when I say God came through with that favor today,
Mm.
everything they were batting 1,000. It's like witnesses that the prosecution thought was their witness turned out to be Johnson's witness. And
Mm.
crazy because I was like, wait a minute, whose side are you on? And I mean, they were sick. I mean, it got to the point where when Dr. Chang testified, he stayed up there for a minute. He stayed up there for basically the whole hour and a half that we had left to the court day after recess. And when I say the prosecution was grasping at straws, I had never seen in my entire professional career so many redirects. Every
Mm.
time, every time Priya sat down, they got up. And they redirect they gave him one direct. So they actually talked to him 3 different times because they got so desperate by the time Priya finished getting him to contradict himself because you could tell that he was trying hard to say whatever the prosecution wanted him to say. But
Mm.
up there, he started contradicting himself, not perjuring himself, but he definitely was saying something different by the time she twisted the question to the way she wanted it answered. And so it boiled down to your girl's an alcoholic based on his clinical.
You posted that on Twitter.
And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I was going to call her an alcoholic. But, you know, if it cracks like a duck, walk like a duck. But he straight up said, like, based on the test that they give people to check, to check. It's called the audit C.
Mm-hmm.
Or a 5. And anything over a 3 is positive and identifies hazardous drinking or alcohol abuse disorder. So that literally just, sealed that. And I mean, granted, it could be considered neither here nor there if you're looking at the big picture, but it helps
Mm-hmm.
corroborate a lot of her confusion, a lot of her stumbling around and falling and tripping, and a lot of her erratic behavior. I made a joke that they probably should have gave her a breathalyzer on the stand because
Mm.
on Thursday it sounded like everybody's drunk that goes from crying to yelling to running away to I'm okay. Like she went through 12 different emotions from what I understand in a matter of however many minutes she was on the stand. So that was definitely a win because, like I said, he was trying hard. I mean, he was going hard in the paint, trying to not give the defense anything that they could say, okay, well, and when they showed the X-ray of her hand, he couldn't even see it. He was like, well, look at the arrow that the radiologist put next to the injury, and we're all sitting there like, where? Like, where's where's the
Mm.
injury? But oh, you
Yeah,
spoke.
I had to. Yeah, because while you were talking about it, just so people will get a little bit more clarification,
Blow
that's
it up.
what that's what I am. That's what the Odyssey looks like. So, did
Did
we
we
lose
lose her?
Danny? I know she had 37%.
That is what she said.
But just to kind of get some, get some clarity, this is the alcohol use disorder identification test and consumption, the Odyssey that she's talking about. So it is clearly showing that this woman was a 5. You know what I mean? She has a problem drinking. And even when they were saying that she was running off the stand like somebody who just got called, who just got told that they not the baby that JoJo
The
not the baby daddy,
Maury
she
run.
yeah, the Maury run, you know what I mean? That already told me everything that I needed to know on that. So Danny is back. Let me get her back
Sorry,
on stage.
my phone, and it was still on, but I couldn't hear you, so I had to
Oh,
redo it.
refresh. Oh, okay. Shout out to I want to say thank you to Flavio Sosa because he connected all of the YouTubers with you. So I
Yeah,
want
he
to
did.
say thank you. I
Yeah.
want to give him a thank you on live right now. I've done it before and I'm doing it now. Thank you so much for putting all of us together like that because this helps us out tremendously when we're trying to just get to the truth. And I've told y'all before, and I don't know how Blue and Mika feels, but me personally, I don't care about believe all women. I don't care about believe all men. I care about the truth. And at the end of the day, because a lot of this stuff has happened to people who's not Giant the Majors, and then they spend 20 some odd years in jail, then they get out and find that they're exonerated. You know what I mean? And shout out to Sissy Majors, that is Giant the Major's cousin. She's been, following my channel and what I've been talking about on Giant the Major's case since the beginning. So shout out to her, and I appreciate her for giving some support to the channel too. So, but yeah, that's what I care about, and that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about before we kind of get into all the nicks and crannies of the case. Do you see? Oh, go ahead. You want to go ahead, Blue?
Yeah, go ahead, Blue. When you're in the courtroom, do you see which publications have their court reporters or their news people in there reporting on this? Do you know which one, who is who?
Well, first of all, they thinned out a lot. So there's only probably about maybe 10 left of the 50 plus.
Wonder why.
Because they wear press badges, you don't know what network they're with. You just know that it's the New York State press badge. I did personally meet two that were from the local. I don't know. Where are you guys? Are you guys in New York or?
No.
I'm in Kansas City. Yeah, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay. So
I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and Mika is in DC, right? You're still in DC?
Okay, so basically the equivalent of what your local ABC News channel is, and then yes. So here that would be channel 7 and channel 2 respectively. Those are the two that I actually identified because they sat with me on the side of Jonathan and sisters, and we talked and exchanged phone numbers. But I don't know. I mean, I know there's one. Obviously, there's somebody there from People Magazine because she posts things as it's happening.
Yes.
Other than that, there's no way to know because their press badges don't specify what net. I mean, unless it does, and you just have to be really close to see it. You can't see it from a distance, and there's no logo on it. So I really don't know unless they tell me or I just happen to.
Right. I'm the reason I asked that because I just see everybody piggybacking off of one publication. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to know what was really going on because I see like the Independent. Seems like the Independent is the only one who's giving facts with no chaser on it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I'm guessing the courtroom because if they're getting as much as I'm getting, they're there. I just don't know who it is.
Right.
Absolutely. And we have it's Sissy. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let me go ahead. It's my first super chat little video. Let me post that up.
I done came up, got my name up. So when they speak of who blinged up, I'm who they bring up.
Thank you so very much for the super chat.
Should have had the Sailor Moon is what you should have had.
I don't do that. We're not gonna bring up last week.
Go ahead and give us a peace sign.
No, we're not gonna do that. What's going on, Pam Entertainment? Shout out to Pam Entertainment. She's a channel member and she's been doing an excellent job covering the Giant the Major story. Also, so shout out to them. Don't laugh at them. Don't fall into this foolishness of these two. Don't do it.
Laughing at your Riley thing, but then it just so happens we piggyback on that.
See, I'll be doing.
Go ahead and do it. Give us the Sailor Moon.
No, we not. We not.
Real quick.
But Danny, let me ask you a question. And this pertains to the Giant the Majors case, but on just a local level. How many times have we seen a situation where somebody comes in and they're lying in court? They're lying in court. Let me just say the truth. They're lying in court. And you see, you got black men that's going to jail like this. I worked in the criminal justice system. I was a correction officer for our local jail, our city jail in Kansas City, way back in like 04, 03, 04, all the way to 07. And I've seen that because I had to sit in the courtroom with these people, and I'm seeing certain things like this happen a lot where a guy is completely innocent, yet because he has a court-appointed attorney, the DA, court-appointed attorney, and the judges all working together for a conviction. Is how problematic is that, and what are some of the steps that we could do as a public, because I want to make sure that they know about this, what we could do as a public to try to get some of those things changed?
Okay, so for one, find your local Innocence Project chapter. I to the one where I live, and every birthday that I have, people, and they actually donate. You know, the Facebook thing where you say this year I'm donating to the Innocence Project. Do that, because when I tell you, and again, I'm probably aging myself again. I grew up in Harlem. I grew up with 3 of the 5 Central Park, the boys that got accused of raping that woman in Central Park. I'm younger, but I grew up. You know, we all played in the same housing project, and went to some of the same schools. And the crazy thing is, because of growing up in the inner city, and it's so normalized that you see your friends go away and you don't put 2 and 2 together. You know, and the crazy thing about it took for Netflix. Meanwhile, these are my friends. These are people that I'm still in contact with, that, you know, I still, you know, talk to on social media. And it never even occurred to me how bad it was, because I was a kid. You know, they were a little older than me, but it took Netflix for me to realize how bad it was for them. You know, we just knew, oh, they went off for 18 months. You know, we didn't really know what it was about. We didn't even know it was necessarily directly linked to that Central Park jogger. And it's just terrible that it took for us to get this old and to understand the gravity of how it affected some of them. I mean, one of my friends, you know, and people get post office jobs and they retire at 40, right? Because they start right out of high school. By the time they get their years in, they're barely 40, 41, 42. My guy didn't start until he was 40 because of this situation. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, where he should be retiring from a pension job, you know, everyday working class person's job. He's just getting started, you know, and I'm just using that as an example of how things like this can negatively affect your life, and you have to spend decades trying to get them expunged or, you know, explained away on your background report, you know. So that's part of another reason why I took this, because when it comes to our Black men, I mean, every race has their bad seeds, you know what I mean? We know better than everybody, but it's not the majority of us. It's just what the decides they want, and what unfortunately a lot of us participate on social media in perpetuating that image. But the majority of Black men are good people that want to do the right thing, and I'm pro Black man all day, every day. Okay, and if I see one that I know for a fact is not problematic, I'm going hard for them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And like I said, I've said this on other platforms. Full disclosure, I am a Jonathan Majors fan, in the sense that, you know, the work that he has been able to do thus far, I've enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like, one movie I didn't necessarily enjoy, but it, you know, of the 13 or so movies and TV shows that he's done, I've enjoyed them. I find him talented, and I feel like he can do a lot for the culture in terms of changing the narrative for how they see Black, even from his own personal background standpoint, because, you know, we always have to have these hard knock life stories, crackhead mama, you know, jailbird daddy. You know, it can't ever be where, okay, yeah, maybe my biological dad might not have been around, but he still had a father figure. You know what I mean? He said that. He said that that's who he fashioned his Creed 3 character after. So, you know, and of course, you know, middle school kids have their little issues, but he got his shit together by the time he got to high school. So, you know, he's not your typical, you know, ghetto kid that just came up and just happened upon celebrity. This dude paid his dues. He went to college. Got his master's degree in acting.
Went to Yale.
He went to Yale. You understand? But they don't want to hear that.
Right.
Because at one point during the testimony last week, Priya brought that up. You know what's crazy?
But spill the tea. So let me get mine together. Let me get mine together.
Priya brought up his background, right? And the minute she started saying Yale, the prosecution objected and it was sustained. Why Yale? This guy. And then the crazy thing is, Grace Jabari didn't even know he had a master's degree from Yale. I know he went to Yale, but I didn't know he had a degree.
Oh, he actually graduated and stuff. Yeah.
That brother is not
girlfriend and don't even know what their credentials are.
Exactly. That brother is not nowhere closer. So, but let me give my man Marcus with a $20 super chat. Let me get another video for him.
Now you're looking at the world's richest man, and I'm black.
Let's see what she wants.
Appreciate Marcus for the super chat. What's crazy is that to me is that I see a lot of this times when especially, and I'm gonna just keep it real. If it wasn't Stephanie McMahon, because you know why, I'm gonna tell you why Chill and I and everybody calls her Stephanie, because at the beginning they would not release her name. We didn't know, so we just start calling her Stephanie McMahon, Hemsley the Third. So that's the reason why we call her that. But what I do see a lot, if this was Shaniqua, you know what I'm saying, from Bed-Stuy, or more, or anybody like that, I don't think that this even goes nowhere close to even trial. And the reason why I'm saying that, we had an incident in Kansas City with one of our wide receivers for the Chiefs. He got accused of doing some heinous things to a girlfriend. They gave him a diversion, right? They gave him a diversion. They end up dropping all charges and just told him to get away from each other. You go there, you go that way.
Wow.
And then, but in this case, already know Alvin Braggs is trying to create a political career because, he went after Trump. He went after Adam Foss, he got exonerated. And in everything that we knew of Jonathan Majors, I'm like, the only thing that anybody said bad about Jonathan Majors was his clothing. That's it. You know what I mean?
Clothes. I as a New Yorker, that whole Timberland sweat hood. I hate that look. So I've always dated the metrosexuals. I've always dated the dudes that dressed, funky with the
the burlap. You like the burlap suit?
The burlap.
Leave him alone with the burlap suit. Leave him be. Leave him be.
And the Dapper Jaw hat. You like?
You know what?
But see, so the reason why I took it, because I'm like, okay, number one, this guy, which we talked about, especially us, we cover, our, comic book movie news and stuff like that. With Jonathan Majors, as far as the intellect and everything, is on the same level with Chadwick Boseman. And for them to give him a role as the main, even though we don't, I don't like the blackwashing of a character, because originally that character Kang is white in the comics, but they gave him the role because how credible of an actor he is,
and how important,
and how important it is for blacks to have those roles. So yes, he got that role. And now we see how detrimental the mainstream media is with trying to tear this brother down. Do you believe that those text messages that came out, that again was out of context? Let's keep it real. Nobody texts us like that. Do you think that those are still going to affect his career going forward?
Unfortunately, I've said this before. We live in a society where you're only as good as your last mistake. Every one of us expect to be forgiven and forgotten, whatever it is that we do, right? But when you're high profile, the rules don't apply anymore. We're not supposed to shame people that are mentally ill. We're not supposed to shame people that have suicidal ideations. We're not supposed to shame people that have been domestically abused in one way or another. But when it comes to celebrities, it's funny that he said that he was going to kill himself. You know what I mean? It's funny that, or it's embarrassing, or he should be ashamed of himself. So it's like it's a double standard that I think the only way that he can probably, and I'm really hoping that that's step two, regardless of what the verdict is.
Yes.
They're going to need to go hard after her, hard after Variety, hard after Rolling Stone, and anybody else that's out here trying to make him look crazy or make him look like he's somebody that he's not. You cannot just get a not guilty and move on. You can't. You're going to have to do a Johnny Depp. You're going to have to do a defamation trial. You're going to have to appeal and ask for your Rolex and your iPhone. And she said she
all your stuff back
as of last Tuesday. He's going to have to, this is not going to end for him in terms of clearing his name. It's unfortunate that he's going to have to keep dipping into his bag for this nonsense. But he's going to have to see this to the finish line. in terms of the effect that I think the texts may have had on the jury, if they're following the rules that were given by the judge, even though those texts were actually evidence, her testimony, which was background information and not evidence prior to anything dated before March 25th, 2023, she testified to everything that was in that text.
In that text,
Yes, she did.
Even though it wasn't considered evidence, the judge said they could use it for background information. But the way she testified to it, she made it sound as though everything that was in that text, she made it sound as though it happened over the course of months. Like he made multiple suicide threats. She made it sound like he constantly did everything that was said in that text, when it turns out it was just that one time.
Yeah.
So she perjured herself if they wanted to go back and say, okay, yeah, this wasn't evidence, but this is not the truth either. You know what I mean? So them seeing those text messages should not have been a surprise, because everything verbatim in that text was what she said he did. But like I said, she made it sound like it was happening in a recurring way and not just one incident. This was clearly just one incident.
Right.
Takes away all credibility from you trying to make it sound as though this was a constant thing that you had to deal with. And I think that's why Priya brought up the suicide of her ex-boyfriend, because you sit here and make it sound like Jonathan Majors, every single time he got upset about something, he was ready to go get the noose, when in reality, it was
had
one
somebody
text,
go and do that.
and if you saved him, why couldn't you save your last boyfriend?
So,
or something that you just like to say because it happened to you before.
Absolutely.
She's a serial abuser.
Exactly. So we got a super chat from my brother. That's my brother Rico, aka Super Shot. Let me go ahead and play my next video.
How many videos you got?
For real?
3. I got 3.
Oh, I can't believe it. Thank you, boy. Oh, you're the best grand.
You just own it, huh?
I'm on it.
Then I got a question. What did the prosecution's face look like when all their witnesses basically turned hostile on them?
Man, I can only see the back of them, but their body language, the things that they were objecting to, that it seemed like the judge was on one today too, because I'm like, normally he would let them get away with just about anything. And today he was sustaining a lot of the defense's objections, which is, I mean, he's a fair judge. I will give him that much. He has a very nice disposition. You can tell he's been doing it for a long time. It seems like both sides like him a lot. But I did notice that early on he was letting the prosecution get away with more, not because of necessarily favoritism, but I was talking to someone else and I was like, he seems like he's a yenta, like he just likes to hear the scoop, because you can tell.
Okay, because that's what I was going to say. Sounds like he just knows.
He knows. You can tell when he's debating whether or not he should sustain or overrule something, and then he'll go.
He'll probably be like this.
No,
do tell.
Like he'll say something like, it's leading, but I'll allow it, and then he'll lean back, every single time. He'll lean back like, let's hear this. So I think he's just being nosy under the guise of allowing. Oh, thank you. I can't really see the name. Was it Platacchio? Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just full disclosure again, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a social media personality. This is completely outside of my comfort zone.
Well, we most definitely appreciate you.
Yeah, we do.
Stuff. My YouTube, I have like 8 followers, and that's probably my.
It's probably going up now.
Business is booming. Trust me.
Any of this, but I feel like I have to, because this is the age that we're in where tweets is just not enough. And I know a lot of people prefer to see things visually and see the faces behind the names and behind the tweets. So I'm really just doing this to get the word out, and so people can see that I'm a real person and that I'm actually there, and I'm not just saying that I'm there. That I'm a sister, and that I'm not somebody just faking the funk and trying to, clout chase, because that is and I'll probably go right back under my rock when this is over. But I do feel a responsibility, especially having been there as many days as I have and commuting as much as I have been commuting.
Yes, you have.
You were flying back and forth and stuff. Salute to you
Say
on
that
that.
again?
Yes, I mean
You was flying back
seriously.
and forth, Florida, back to New York. You was on it.
Yeah, I mean, I have flight benefits, so I don't pay for the flight, but yeah,
Still time consuming. Still time.
Yeah.
you my peoples, but I ain't dropping no bag on no flights. But,
Hey.
but yeah, I just feel like it's if I'm going to be out here sharing these tweets and writing these dissertations every day, and I still have about 2 more to write, the least I can do is come on and let people know, like, this is for real. Like, please do what you can to support this guy. Tweet, retweet, share all of these content creators' social media handles. Support them, share everything that they're sharing, because like I was telling Chill and I discussed on Saturday, once this is done with, it's not done with. We have to keep pushing this. Jonathan is unfortunately the martyr for the cause. And I say that this guy is doing it with so much grace. Like, I watch him and, I'm just sitting there like,
I was going to ask you about that too.
I don't know how this dude is doing. I mean, I know how, because, he's very spiritual. His mom is there. Megan is there. Megan's mom is there. There's other.
So Megan has been there every single
day.
How did she react with the text message?
I had to hop on him walking out alone. And I'm like, dude, can he go to the bathroom? Like, she doesn't have to be everywhere with him. Are you with your girlfriend every day, all day? Like,
how did she act with the text messages when the text messages came out? Did she have any kind of reaction?
I think all of us, because again, we're not allowed to visibly react, but you can kind of see in body language or, the mood just changed for everybody. Yeah. I was not there when that particular text came out, but I was there for all the other inflammatory stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, I wasn't there that Thursday, but
Jimmy was there. Shout out to Jimmy.
There was the recording. There was other text messages that came out that were just as bad. That's why I'm like, I don't think just as bad in terms of what the
how they presented it.
Yeah, right. How they want to try to spin it. So, you can kind of see, the mood changes. But just like me, I don't think that I'm positive that they've already discussed what was going to come out, because the defense would have objected to it even coming out, the other stuff even coming out, if it was something that they thought they didn't want anybody to know. So I'm positive that his mom, her, everybody else already knew what evidence the prosecution was going to try.
Yeah.
Even the stuff that was sealed, I'm sure they knew, just in case it doesn't get sealed, this is what it is. So I'm positive they weren't surprised. I'm thinking that disappointed though, because now you're like, okay, I knew about this, but now everybody knows about this.
Exactly. And I think that that's one of the things that they wanted to seal, and that they didn't want to get out, was that he did make that claim that he wanted to end himself, because of what was going on. I think they wanted to have that sealed. So I guess when that kind of came out, that was kind of like a poke in the balloon. All the air probably came out the room on that day.
He already said that he said that. Day of testimony, so it wasn't surprising. I don't know if seeing it in writing. Yeah, but I mean, she already said. But like I said, she made it sound like he did it more than once. Like every time he got in an argument, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to go unalive myself." Like, no, that was just one time.
And she already testified that he never even touched her.
Never touched her.
Oh, and that's why I'm like, why would you even release the text messages? Because she testified he never physically touched her ever prior to allegedly March 25th, 2023. So what was the point in trying to drop that little seed in the grass to make it sound like he did something to her head, when she said that he never touched her prior to March 25th, 2023. So are you saying she perjured herself? I'm like, I'm trying to pick a struggle here. Which one is it? You know? And then a lot of the context was redacted out. Like,
exactly.
Every other sentence was blacked out. So I'm like, well, what are you saying? Did she say, when we were, getting it in. I bust my head on the headboard. Like, is that? And I need to go to the hospital to get some.
What it was. Mika say that's probably what it was.
She went in the headboard like Gina did on Martin.
Gina on Martin.
and we joking, but you know, Mika, you know how it go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that's what I said. That's probably why they redacted it. That's probably why they redacted it. They was like, "Hey, wait,
Mika, you know how it go.
How it go when shit get real. Okay, so
yeah,
he probably knocked her head on a $10,000 hand carved in Honduras headboard. Concussion.
And carved ivory headboard.
You want to go and get some opioids.
Wearing the carving on my forehead.
Right. Like, come on, girl, bye. And what are you going to the hospital for? Like, you can't take a leave?
What up? Okay, Danny, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the friends, Chloe and Max and all of them, the bystanders who she ended up going with. Can you run me through that whole situation? Because that to me kind of seemed confusing. They got up there. I know they told the story, but it was like it was a birthday party and they invited her or they were running late. Can you run through that?
Okay, so basically, we've all seen that surveillance of her in front of that Lafayette Street building where she's telling them that she left her phone in the car and that he on her. And then Chloe says, "Fair game, girly," meaning I guess she thought it was cool that he cheated. I don't know. But so there's that and yada yada yada. He walks by. Chloe testified to he walked by. He didn't say a word to them, and you see that in the video. You see Grace go after him. Chloe says she followed behind them, but she stayed, far enough away that she couldn't really hear. Allegedly, she couldn't hear what was going on, even though there is video that the defense tried to get released, but she wasn't in frame, so the judge wouldn't allow it to be released. But there is audio of when she went around the corner and she was yelling and screaming at Jonathan. This girl claims she didn't hear that. I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter. So long story short, they all eventually end up back at the Escalade because the driver found them after he called his dispatcher. He kind of spun the block and he found them. They were all standing near the Escalade for a minute because they actually showed surveillance of them all. And they asked her, "Is that you?" And, of course you can't really see it, but she kind of confirmed that it was her and her friend standing over there by the Escalade. Right. She testified that she got in the Escalade with Grace at one point, trying to get her to go home. So this is another person testifying that they tried to get her to go home. And she ended up going with them to Lucy's. They were late to the party messing with her and Jonathan because they spent 30 minutes trying to, figure out either how to get her home. She said they were trying to figure out how to get her home, how to get him somewhere. She said that he even thanked her for taking care of Grace. And homeboy took a selfie with a fan while he was standing there.
So you did see that?
Yeah, it was in the video. Which
Grace was, if I'm not mistaken, which Pyra Chaudhry did say in the statement back in the letter back in April, right? That he even got out the car after she pulled his coat, ripped his coat, seen two people that knew who Jonathan Majors was, took a selfie with them, and then went on by his business. So that was there.
Right. And it was in the video that they showed today. Because she says, what is he doing over there? And then she goes, of course everybody wants to play John. But anyway. So they get to Lucy's in an Uber. They don't use the black car. The black car is just, I guess, gone at this point because he never even testified as to where he went after everybody ran out the car.
I'm out of here, man.
He was like, not my business.
They never clarified that. But they ended up taking the Uber to Lucy's in Brooklyn. And she said they were just chilling all night. They got there too late for the actual birthday thing. So all the liquor was gone. So Chloe testified that she kind of made some little jerry-rigged drink for them. And then Grace offered to purchase some champagne and some tequila shots. They did all that. This is stuff you guys.
She did with that credit card.
Yeah, she was just running it up. And Chloe said
I'm going to show him.
Right. And Chloe said that he told her that it was his card. I don't know what made her say that. So that makes me
wow. Okay, hold on.
Wait.
I'm about to say, wait before you get to that. Let me get to the super chat because Tommy at the Wadu, he was like, now people are trying to discredit the driver, which is true. They're trying to discredit the driver. Let's get the video for him.
I done came up, got my name up. So when they speaking who blinged up, I'm who they bring up.
Appreciate that super chat. With that, now go ahead with the question. I apologize. I just
what I was saying is, it seems that she is the one who, because I think she had testified saying that she keeps taking Jonathan back.
Right.
And it's, to me, she's telling Jonathan's story. Jonathan is the one who because wasn't it said that he came home, I think during that Sag Harbor incident, he came home, threw all the clothes out, told her to get out and all that other stuff.
Get rid of this girl at least 3 times in the 6 months leading up to March 25th, 2023. He threw her clothes out in London. He tried to get rid of her. Sag Harbor, he didn't try to get rid of her, but he told her to stop basically scheduling her life around his schedule.
Right. Live your own life and let me
schedule, and she got mad, got drunk, tried to drive herself home, but couldn't because she was too drunk. But there were different instances from September 2022 up until March 2023 where he basically was like, all right, be gone, leave, peace. But he made it final that night. And I think that's when her wheels started turning and she realized, oh shit, I'm about to lose the bag. So he just didn't anticipate that he would call the police. I think she thought that she was going to chill in his crib until he finally decided to come home, like always, right? And he was going to find her passed out in the closet, kiss her like Snow White or Sleeping Beauty. And then she was going, booty pop her way back into the braces.
Is she over there laying down like Woody did on Toy Story? Oh, Andy's coming.
Right. That's exactly what happened. She's in that closet like this.
She looked like little Pinocchio legs. I was like,
so you actually saw her laid out? Did they show that video of her laid out?
They showed the sketch artist's rendition.
Yeah,
they showed the video, but they showed the sketch artist's rendition of how she looked laying in the closet, and it looked like she was just a stiff like a mannequin. Sketch artist like, this some bullshit.
Make sure you guys, I got 260 people in here. I really appreciate you guys checking out the live. Make sure that you get the likes up in here. Get the likes up if you like what we're talking about. If you like this conversation, all of y'all getting fresh tea. She haven't even wrote none of this down yet. So y'all all getting fresh tea right now. So
I'm still working.
So make sure you guys get the likes up in the chat. I really appreciate all 260 of you guys for watching. Go ahead, y'all.
Any more questions? Am I still talking about the yes Kat. September 22 was when they were in London. That was that whole thing with the text message when she came home drunk with her friend and the trainer was there and he ended up making the friend leave and take her food to go because he was pissed off about her coming in there drunk and basically embarrassing him in front of his trainer. That was when he was throwing her clothes out. Yeah, throwing her clothes out and told her to leave. And that was one of the first times that he tried to unload her. But yeah, she was like a bad.
But let me just ask this question real quick. Pam Entertainment wanted to know, did you guys get to see the wall incident? She said the wall. Talk about her hitting her head on the wall. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then Beef Smith with the super chat. Thank you so very much. Let me get to the video real quick, and then we're going to get to that question.
Now you're looking at the world's richest man, and I'm black.
All right, go ahead.
You're talking about when she ran into the wall?
Yeah, didn't Chloe say she hit the wall, or Max said she
Yeah,
hit the wall?
it's
Okay,
somebody said she hit the wall.
No, I don't think that caused any injury. But basically, what happened was there's some surveillance. This is while Chloe is on the stand. You know, they're going through the whole night. Nothing remarkable. She's just going through the whole night. You know, with how many drinks they had, what they did they dance, did they take pictures? They kept, I don't know why, but they kept emphasizing the fact that they took a whole bunch of selfies. I don't know. I don't really know what the significance of that was because they didn't explain it. Then, you know, it got to the point where Chloe's walking her out of the club to the street so she can get her cab. And as she's walking, it's like it's kind of like a hallway and then double doors, kind of.
Okay.
Get out. So as she's walking down the hallway, you see her kind of run into the wall. And actually, the defense asked her, "Did you see her run?" Objection. But we knew she was asking, "Did you see her run into the wall?"
Right.
So she, you know, she kind of stumbles into the wall. They get outside, right into the entryway of the club, and you see them hug each other 3 times consecutively. So they get into like a tight bear hug. They're cheek to cheek, right ear to right ear.
We're supposed to be heard at.
They separate. They talk a little bit. Then they hug again. Same thing. Separate, talk again. Then they hug again. I'm like, y'all real drunk that y'all keep hugging.
Like, you know how to be.
But that was important because it showed Chloe had on a white shirt like what I have on.
No blood transfer.
There's no blood.
No blood transfer. She said all that. She said when she saw that video, she did not notice any injury to Grace's ear or face or head, and that there was no blood transferred on her shirt. There's another picture of that they took of Grace, and I'm surprised they didn't call him up. I guess he was like, "I'm not with this nonsense." The other guy,
not Whitehead, not Captain Crunch, the other guy.
The other guy, I can't remember his name, but Shem or Shem.
I think it's Shem.
He is a tall guy, and so she's hugged up on him, and he has a light colored shirt on, and her right ear is against, like, kind of like under his arm on his chest area. No transfer of blood.
She's hugging up on everybody, huh?
Right.
Yeah, she's hugged up on everybody.
You know, drunk people get happy.
I was gonna say, you know how drunk people are. They just start leaning on people for no reason. Why are you hugging me?
And then when they showed that picture, the defense was like, "Did you notice that Grace's eyes were closed?" Like insinuating that, you know, she was like really drunk. Objection. But it's out there. I mean, we heard it, we saw the picture, and I was thinking the same thing. Priya just said it, and it got objected to, but it's out there. We heard it, right? And then the doctor turned around and confirmed that she had, you know, she was well on her way to being an alcoholic. So that's pretty much how that testimony went. It was just a lot of confirming that she did not have that injury behind her ear. They did say that Chloe did say that she complained that her finger hurt and that she gave her some ice, but she never saw the injury.
That was gonna be my question. What about her finger?
None of them saw the injury. Frat boy over here, I called him Billy Badass, the one that called himself
trying to run a Captain Crunch
girlfriend chin check. Yeah. He was only on the stand all of 5 minutes because they didn't even want to be bothered with him too tough. But he also said, because he looked surprised that they got rid of him so quickly.
I was like, what? He
I'm done.
probably wanted to get
the thing, y'all.
He wanted 5 minutes of
Jonathan was looking at him like Kane did Ant-Man. He was like, say one more word. Say one more word. All right, let me get to Michael Parker. Let me get to the super chat real quick. If for whatever reason the case is in the hung jury, I do not see the prosecution retrying the case. Way too much exemplary evidence. Not guilty. Let me go.
I would hope that they wouldn't spend any more taxpayer money on this nonsense.
Exactly.
This is
and wasted enough.
At the end of the day, where are you going to find an impartial jury at this point?
Exactly.
I'm surprised they found what they got, honestly. So you're going to have to try this out in Binghamton somewhere on Albany because there's nobody in New York City or in the 5 boroughs that is not going to have heard of this at this point, especially with us out here stirring the pot.
Exactly.
Megan Good's mom walked up to me today and told me she saw me on Chillmonger. So I'm like, okay.
She'll over there. Shout out to. Let me do this real quick. Let me get
Chill
because
out
I
here getting to it.
right. I want to shout out some of the YouTubers and everything that has been doing their damn thing when it came to this case. Kat, KATT, who's been doing her thing. I watched her video today. Chillmonger, Blue, of course, me. I want to say it was Dr. Hines is where I see you on the last time. That's been doing their thing. Who am I missing? Pam Entertainment. Oh my God, Pam Entertainment. Shout out to Pam, and she dreads me. They've been doing their thing on this, and we appreciate everybody who's been giving their information to this because I feel like not just because he's a celebrity, but it's important to see two things. One, the media twist that can happen. And number two, this is something that I wanted to talk to you about also, the corruption from the police department of New York City. Yeah, because we got to get into that. What was your thoughts when Officer Doofus was on there, because that's what I'm gonna call him, and he was snitching. He was snitching on the on his sergeant and didn't even know he was snitching.
Snitch straight on him.
He was not prepared at all. By the time he left that stand, he looked like, am I going to get reassigned to parking duty? It looked like he was about to be demoted to meter maid.
They must have called him on his day off or something.
A lot of it was so avoidable. It was completely sloppy police work on his part. It was just sloppy. It was completely avoidable. They went on sidebar at least twice that I remember, and while they were at sidebar, he was just staring off into space, like, oh my God! Like,
no job.
He must have never tested. I mean,
now this is like
testified before as
but
a
he
cop.
said he's been through 40 to 50 arrests, and he's had over 100 to 1,000 domestic violence calls.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But did he testify in any of those?
Right.
That's what, it sounds like he hasn't.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
They normally don't go this far unless somebody, is unalive.
Because I was going to say, either anytime that I was a correction officer, we will sit in the back with the inmates because if they run or anything during DV cases, I rarely seen a cop on stand for this. Rarely, because either they have enough information to be able, or even if it's trial or left, it's a fatality and they have to come on. I've never seen. I did that for 4 years, so.
He wasn't prepared. And like a lot of the errors that he made, like he said her injury was behind her eye. Like clearly that was a typo. I'm not going to sit here and split hairs and act like he really thought behind the eye. How'd you see that? In the eye? But it was a typo, but he never corrected it, Right. And that's where he got screwed, because he not only put it on the police report, he put it on the court documents as well. And then the other thing is the location of the incident. Like, that the incident did not happen at the apartment. It happened in the Escalade. But on all the documents, he put that it happened at the apartment. So, that's inaccurate. That's incorrect. They both told you that they had the initial altercation happened in the Escalade over there on Canal Street, Center Street, wherever. It was right. Actually, everything happened right in a 2-block vicinity of the courthouse.
He didn't think that this would go to trial, probably.
He was chasing.
No.
He probably thought I'm thinking the same thing, Blue. Like he didn't think this was gonna go to trial. He was like, man,
No.
I ain't never gonna have to testify. Oh,
who cares what I write on it?
I want your paperwork to be trashed. Like,
exactly.
Same 7 years. You got at least another 13 to go in your career.
Exactly.
So why would you want because at the end of the day, even if this didn't go to trial and something else happened with someone else, how many times have you heard of police
have to reopen
people? Yeah, right. People finding out that certain police are corrupt, and now you got to go back and look at all their prior arrests and throw out those cases because of something that they did, right? So why would you? And he had something on his record. I think for police brutality, but it ended up, getting,
But see, that's the thing. A lot of, cops like that, they're covered. They're part of a certain unit, certain task force. They're covered. So what they write down on paper, that's why when speaking about the sergeant who was, doing the whole strangulation thing, and him snitching on the sergeant,
He's
dry
straight
snitching.
snitch.
He was dry snitching. I don't think he knew he was snitching, but they wasn't talking. I don't think he talked to the sergeant at all.
Yeah.
Clearly,
You know
he
what I'm
talking to
saying?
nobody.
I don't think he talked to the sergeant at all, and that's why he was up there dry snitching like that. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's a privilege. He feels he's protected. Man, I write this down. We got us a black dude. We send him away. We ain't got, I don't have nothing. Tomorrow's gonna be a new day. I don't have nothing to worry about.
Right. Because remember, they didn't know who he was. And it was clear on the initial from TMZ, from their insiders, that none of those people knew who he was. That was initially from TMZ. So I believe that was the big key thing, because you didn't even need the audio. He was gonna tell on himself anyway. You seen the video of the other was like, is he doing this? Like, what are you doing this for when you see no marks on this woman in the body cam footage, or anything?
And she herself testified that she told them to drop it in those exact words. Drop
and
it.
it was on the text message from the initial text message that was dropped back in March. So shout out to Donnell for the $1 super thanks too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But the context of that first set of text messages, they tried to make it sound like, oh, she just said that because she was scared. That girl was not scared of that man
at all, because you don't chase.
And you could have gone anywhere. Your sister lives in New York. You had a ticket to London for the next 2 days later. You could have gone countless places, but you decided to stay, fake unconscious, didn't think he was going to call the cops. And then this happened. So now you got to be strong and wrong and just keep it going.
Absolutely. And I know you don't have that much time, so we're going to give it about 5 more minutes, and I'm going to get to some of the super chats. But let me ask you a question. And this is something that's been on my mind. Was Jonathan Majors running like when Baby D was chasing Day-Day around that car? Did he give her the old razzle-dazzle to get up out of the situation? Like, you know what I mean? Because they said, I lost him. So she must have gave him the...
I say he took that creep training to heart. My guy was running. Your cardiovascular game is superior, my guy. He was running. She lost him. She said she lost him, and that's how she ended up in front of that building and met Chloe and them, because she, I guess,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Puma, is that what that says?
Yeah,
Puma?
Danny is definitely a G for bringing the facts to us in this case. We need people to expose the crimes of the NYC law enforcement of people of color. Let me go ahead. Let me. I got to play a video for this.
I done came up, got my name up. So when they speaking who blinged up, I'm who they bring up.
Good one. That's that's actually good, because there is a lot of corruption with the NYPD. It is. It's just it's a fact.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Especially in precincts where there are not too many people of color, because they away with that, because they don't have to deal with the hood, because that area is largely Chinatown, but there's also a lot of wealthy, Caucasian people that live in that general vicinity, especially in Chelsea. That building that Jonathan was living in had a few celebrities in it. So they're not used to having to deal with people of color. And so when you do, they know that automatically, if it's somebody of color that allegedly did something wrong, everybody's going to believe it, because they shouldn't be in this neighborhood anyway. So that's
probably why they thought it was her apartment and not Jonathan. That makes sense.
Right.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Sana, what's going on? Sana Deck is in the house. What was the mood leaving court today? And thank you for the $4.99 super chat.
Everybody was smiles. Jonathan looked back.
It was
funny because he's pretty chill. Like, I don't see him doing too much. I see him talking to his attorneys. He doesn't look back too much unless we're like on some type of 5-minute break or they're sidebarring when the jury's not in the room. But today he kept looking back. Like, during certain testimonies, he looked back and kind of did like, okay, like that kind of look. Today was a really, really good day. I mean, I was like, amen. Finally.
Priya didn't have to do no work today, huh?
She did not have to break a sweat today. And she was very careful with her words this time because normally, the prosecution is very objection happy. They just looked. She breathes too hard. Thing, So this time she was very careful with her words. She would backtrack if she started to say something. She would backtrack and rephrase because she knew she had it in the bag. And she was like, I cannot risk any of these objections being sustained. So let me just chill and just ask everything, even tempered, measure my questions. And when I say she was batting 1,000, I think she might have just got maybe 1 or 2 objections the entire day. That was so they did good. They did very well. I was extremely excited and pleased. So much so that I had to get up before even recess and just tweet like we killing it. Yeah, because normally I wait till recess, but I was like, nah, I can't wait to let everybody know we killing this morning. But yeah, it maintained throughout the day. A little bit of the doctor's testimony on direct kind of worried me, but by the time Cross got to him,
what worried you from the doctor?
80.
What worried you from the doctor?
Because like I said, he was really riding the prosecution. Like he was trying really hard to stay within, the truth, but
in favor of the prosecution.
And we already knew he was pro-prosecution because the defense had to keep begging the judge to make the prosecutors get him to come in earlier. Finally decided to come in today. But it was clear that he obviously favored the prosecution, despite, because a lot, like you see, there were prosecution witnesses that turned on him.
Right.
Chloe, old boy, because Chloe made it clear that they are not friends. They have not spoken or heard from Grace since that day.
Wow. So it's they just kicked it that night and that was it.
And I was happy to hear that because the way Grace was talking last week, you would think
they was the homies.
Chloe did, Chloe that on a first name basis. That girl said,
I don't even know you.
March. He just was like, he almost said, well, he did say, but I'm paraphrasing, that the injury sustained behind her ear would have happened in a fight. But then by the time Priya got to him, he didn't say fight anymore. He just said it looked as though somebody pulled, that the ear was pulled forward. So how do we go from a fight, which was never your testimony, to, the ear was pulled forward? So
straight shenanigans.
Yeah, he was trying to, because when I heard fight, I was like, okay, here we go. So now he's trying to say she got the ear injury from getting slapped up in the car. That I got worried about because I'm like, where did that come from? And I'm like, hope you wouldn't be sitting here lying. But then when he took him to task and was like, so you said that the injury came from, and then all of a sudden, oh no, it's just if the ear gets pulled forward with enough force, it could cause that type of injury. So he started backpedaling once
his career on the line too. He get up there and start lying,
Exactly. And nobody pulls ears. We're not in elementary school.
Right.
We ain't pulling nobody's ear.
Give me my phone back.
Right. So Ernest Claiborne, like, we're not gonna hold you too much longer. Ernest Claiborne said the Rolex. Thank you for the $2 super chat too.
I don't know if they're saving that for some type of civil suit. The only thing that they mentioned, I was not there Thursday, but I do not recall Jimmy or Kat saying anything.
Anybody.
But the only thing she did confess to still having in her possession as of last Tuesday was his iPhone, because he gave her a U.S. iPhone because she had a UK phone. He gave her a U.S. phone that she was using along with his credit card. And when she left to go back to the UK, she took his phone and he asked for the phone back and she did not return it. And that was her testimony. And she said she still had it. So at this point, if the Rolex is an issue and it wasn't a gift, and we already know the phone wasn't a gift, she's in grand larceny territory. So talking about 15 grand worth of shit that you still have.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's felony time.
Run
Right
me
there.
back that rollie.
Right.
Right.
So
Right.
they're saving that for some other, litigation against her.
Mhm.
But yeah, they haven't brought. I haven't heard anything about the Rolex yet.
The driver, was the driver really that inaudible to where they really needed a translator?
No, and before they let the jury in, both the prosecution and the defense were kind of going back and forth. He did not want an interpreter. He actually was offended that they wanted to use an interpreter. Those were their words. That he did not want. They met with him yesterday. He did not want an interpreter. He did not feel like he needed an interpreter. But I think they wanted to do it for the record because, I mean, in all fairness, if this becomes an appellate issue, you don't want them to say, well, his testimony, nobody understood what he was saying. Or
Exactly.
and what they were saying. So they were covering their behinds with that, which is fair. I don't see anything wrong with that. And they probably explained that to him so that he wouldn't be offended. But no, the only thing that he just never spoke in English. Because I guess he was like, oh, y'all want to play with me? I'm not going to speak in English. Because I thought for sure that they were going to just have the questions asked in Urdu and he would answer in English. Because that's what I thought was going to happen. My guy didn't answer nothing in English. He was like, okay, we're going to make this dude work earn his money. I'm going to answer. People ask me the questions in Urdu. The only thing he said in English was car or something else that they don't have an Urdu.
That they don't have a word for.
He said everything in Urdu and made the translator repeat it back in English.
Y'all gonna work for this testimony.
Right.
Y'all playing with my name.
Y'all playing with my name.
Playing with my name.
So, a lot of certain immigrants from certain countries, they have a lot of pride. And if I'm telling you that I speak English, why are you trying to play me and have me in here with an interpreter like I just got here yesterday?
Exactly.
My man says, say less.
Right.
Say less.
Okay, so
Interpreter, okay.
Me no speak English. And he sat there in a bubble coat the whole time.
I ain't even mad at him.
Now my man was in the North Down. Or
I ain't even mad at him.
Remember the triple fat goose? He was
triple fat goose.
I'd have been in my bubble too.
With the North Face bubble goose.
North Face bubble.
He was like, I'm not getting comfortable. He had an attitude. I mean, he was funny. His attitude was trash. But I was like, I don't blame you. He just kept
at all.
It was kind of funny because I don't know, and I need to ask. I was going to ask that on Twitter, and I forgot. I was trying to see if anybody else spoke Urdu or a similar language because I was a little confused why. I'm guessing because it's not a literal translation, but he kept saying the boy, the girl.
Right.
And but obviously the interpreter had to say it the way he was saying it because if he would have said the man or the woman, it wouldn't have been an actual translation. But however it's translated in Urdu, man is boy and woman is girl. So he
might mean the same thing anyway.
The boy and the girl.
Exactly.
And I want to confirm that because I like to educate myself on things like that. But it was funny because the way certain sentences that he said, I mean, I was dying. I had to look up. I was like, oh God, they laughing. He was trying to get rid of the girl. The girl, he just kept calling her the girl. It was just hilarious. It was hilarious.
Acting like a little girl.
I'm too childish to be inside of a courtroom like that. I'm way too childish.
I'm really proud of myself because I am childish. My daughter is shaking her head at me because I'm literally in tears sometimes laughing at stuff. And they're like, Mom, that's not even that funny. But when I say I'm that person that when you say don't laugh, don't do it to me. Because I will get everybody kicked out. So yeah, I'm real childish. What is it? Just start with the shorts and give yourself a shout out.
Tell the intelligent black representation is precious. The truth is paramount.
You're talking about your YouTube.
Yeah, they said get on YouTube, do some shorts, do some education, and then ramp it up from there. Because I really appreciate your insight. I appreciate your non-biasness because I know a lot of people you're getting at now, people tweeting, oh, she's biased because she has justice for Jonathan in there. She's biased. But if you read the information, It's from top to bottom everything that is said in the courtroom that I believe is said in the courtroom compared to other people. Did we lose? Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, but compared to some of the other mainstream media people who's been tweeting this out, you've been on point on every single on everything, and that's why I super appreciate you for everything that you have done in this.
Thank you, and I'm glad. I'm glad that you guys are happy with it because again, this is not about me, and I just want people to know what's going on, And
exactly.
And if anybody in the family is watching, don't think that I'm just sitting there trying to get tweets. I'm actually going hard for you guys.
Yeah,
and I'm here because I'm truly supporting the cause, and I'm praying that this ends in a victory. And then you can just drag her to the white meat and take her to civil court.
All right.
Get your good name back.
All right, we about to go ahead and let you go. She dressed me with a $5 super check. Appreciate it. Where are they trying to say the assault happened? The original fight, or when they threw her back in the car?
They're trying to say it was the original fight. And then they tried to say her head injury came from when he pushed her in the car, but that was already debunked. So because I testified that she had no head injuries when they did her head to toe exam.
Right. Did they say why they didn't have a camera inside the Escalade? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's probably for.
There was but it wasn't recording because the first week they did show a picture of the camera that was in the Escalade.
Oh, it was a camera.
It was a camera on the rear view mirror, so I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know if it wasn't turned on or if that's some other field.
I wondered they could be having an issue getting it from who is it? Black.
Black.
They don't necessarily have to give it up.
They don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be some other celebrities on there that did, there's a couple of things.
I mean, we. Look at Diddy. Diddy could have been in the back of the car dancing, doing this. You know what I mean? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna let Danny go because I know her phone is probably at 5% right now.
I got 2 warnings now. I got 8%.
8%. I was close. Mika, do you have anything for Danny before we let her go?
No, nothing. Thank you for being on. I got all the tea now. I wasn't even caught up. I'm good now.
As soon as I get my phone charged back up, I'm gonna finish posting the updates, and then y'all can, and all that information I'm posting, feel free to read it. Know your content because that's what happens.
Yeah. Blue, do you have anything?
No, I'm good. I'm just well, I guess who is the next witness that they're bringing on?
Tomorrow I'm guessing it's that domestic violence expert that's not allowed to say almost nothing. What's the whole issue with he can say this but can't say that? What is? Because they don't want her up there making diagnoses. They don't want her saying that battered women syndrome. They want so basically she's just testifying on why Grace would be behaving the way she did if she claimed she was being abused. Because we all want to know, why'd you go back to the apartment after he told you to leave? Why didn't you go to your sister's house? Why did you go out clubbing? A lot of that behavior is questionable. So this lady's going to get on the stand and say, well, this is what abused people do. No, they don't. But okay, we'll let you live. Go off.
The prosecution witness.
Yeah, she's a prosecution witness, but the judge did give her a lot of restrictions on what she can and can't say. So I'm curious to see what she's going to say.
Yeah, because it seemed like why even have her if she can't, make that, because she's coming up as a professional, right? As an
expert witness.
As an expert witness. That's crazy. And she can't say nothing. This kind of defeat the purpose of having her up there if she can't say, the behavior patterns that lead to this,
Exactly.
We might have lost
that warning. I about to say that warning came on was like, hey, look, that 8%. Well, I'm not playing.
Not playing.
we might have lost her, but if we did lose her for good, I thank her.
Yes.
for coming on and being absolutely wonderful, being pleasant, being hilarious. You know what I mean? Because he's thinking exactly how we all thinking. This is some foolishness. I was trying to tell people from the jump that this was some foolishness. You know what I mean? Because this is a misdemeanor, and they was treating this mug at the beginning like he was OJ. They were like, no, he's not. You know,
Well,
yeah,
they needed. Yeah, we lost. They needed something to latch on. The thing is, he came at the worst time, because if he just would have waited, Diddy would have showed up, and then we wouldn't even have been worried about him. You know what I'm saying?
Can't stop, won't stop.
You know what I'm saying? Like he led it off at the beginning of the year. You know what I'm saying? What was that? That was in March. Nothing had happened at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So he was the guy that led the charge off. Then they waited all this time. Diddy and all of those other people showed up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is just a waste of time, man. Even
exactly a waste of
my
time.
thing is the media. The media. She didn't have to come back.
I'm gonna say bye because the phone was real rude and just cut me off. But I'm just saying bye.
Yes, thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so very much for coming in. Have a good evening.
Good night. Yep. Have a good
night.
evening.